Quite a few of you have already met me in Science of Gardening 1 or 2, or Backyard Biodiversity, or Humans Earth Shapers. But apart from that, I do research on how plants respond to environmental change. And I'm here to introduce you to a new pathway from the Diploma of Sustainable Living into the Bachelor of Science and other degrees at the university here. Can I start with some homework? It's fantastic that we have such a large group of you here, and we'd really like to make it possible for you to ask questions and interact with us. But because there are so many of you, we can't actually have you speak directly to us without creating chaos. So instead, please type your questions into the chat function. We'll endeavour to answer all of your questions. But before we start, I need to do something really rather important and relevant to sustainability. Next slide, please. I need to acknowledge country. I'm talking from Lutruwita, or Tasmania. So on behalf of the university and the other presenters, I acknowledge the Palawa Pakana, the traditional owners of this land. I pay respects to elders past and present as the holders and sharers of knowledge. I honour their culture as being vital to the self-determination, well-being and resilience of their communities. The University of Tasmania stands for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal history and culture, including their language and perspectives. Next slide, please. In this webinar, I'll start by introducing the Bachelor of Science and the pathway into it. Then we'll have a discussion by a member of industry. Then we'll talk about how you actually do it, how you actually get into it. Next slide, please. There are 4 people who'll be presenting. Apart from myself, we'll have Emily Flees, who's actually going to be the coordinator of the appropriate pathway, the major. Then Adam from Blunston, talking about sustainability and industry. Then Imogen and Paige and Tristan Durham will talk about the processes involved. Next slide, please. You've all had some experience of the University of Tasmania. I'd just like to add a couple more things. Many of you never set foot on the campus, but we're actually a medium-sized university that's truly outstanding in some areas. And one of the most important of those areas is that of the environment. We have world-leading researchers into the ecology and sustainable management of the environment. This is actually well established and recognised worldwide, for instance, by the Australian Research Council, Australia's peak body on research. But more importantly for you, we're deeply, deeply committed into sharing the knowledge and skills that have created that excellence in research. Now, the Diploma of Living, Sustainable Living, is part of that process of sharing that knowledge and understanding. But for you to deepen your own knowledge and skills, you need to take some more steps. Next slide, please. The main route, next slide is, why don't we have a quick chat? What did you like about the diploma? And why is sustainability important for you? Please have a little few comments and thoughts about that.
Be great to see some responses in the chat even, Greg, I think.
Yes, let's do it in the chat, yeah. Oh, I love learning about the Sustainable Development Goals. That's kind of important. Oh, and fantastic, curious students, yes. Yes.
This is wonderful to see.
And important you've come up with talk about the flexibility and the possibility to do online. That's an important part of what we'll be talking about today. And the diversity as well.
There's lots in here about learning about solutions and breadth of study and flexibility. Some Indigenous life worlds, that's great. This is wonderful. I'm speed reading.
We have to speed read because we're getting so many.
So apologies if I'm missing any here, but there are so many coming through. It's wonderful. The science
My
behind
garden is better. I hope so.
the science behind the practical nature of the activity. That's great. Oh, it was a lifesaver during lockdown in Melbourne. Helped me to use my newfound spare time productively. Online. A lot of people have said they liked online, which is great. It's everyone's future. That it is, Kelly, that's for sure. Great. Online, not having to travel.
And also broadening the knowledge and understanding has been a really big theme in this chat. And I guess what we're talking about today is actually about extending and broadening that, and indeed making it not only broader but deeper. I think it might be time for us to kick on, I think. So I might start talking again. Sorry to sort of like invade your space here. Could we have the next slide? Now, if you come to a university, I'll talk about the Bachelor of Science. And to understand how this Diploma of Sustainability links into the Bachelor of Science, you need to know a little bit about the nature of the bachelor degree. The rules of the Bachelor of Science have recently been made really simple, which is kind of a fabulous thing. They're also extremely flexible. But there are some things you'll have to do. The first thing is the idea of a major. And what a major is that it's a single block of learning to provide you an expertise in one area. And indeed, this is about this webinar is actually about a major in sustainability. So the structure of a major is that it's made up of 2 first-year units, 2 second-year units, and 4 third-year units. And again, as I said, it's about a single theme. But then once you have a major, or once you have incorporated a major into your plan for the degree, the rest becomes extremely flexible. So you need to do another 8 units, which can be from anywhere in the Bachelor of Science degree. Which ones you choose are completely of your own choice. And of course, some will fit your interest more than others. The other 8 units are in fact fully of your own choice and can be selected from any of the undergraduate units offered by the university. Those units, the units include an amazing array of choices. And each of these units is similar to or slightly larger than the units you would have done in the diploma. So some of those units in the diploma are actually undergrad units, but others are sort of like bespoke units for the diploma. Now, with the units you choose, this is where this diploma, you'll have to do some thinking. We do have a bunch of fully online units and plenty enough fully online units to be able for you to be able to find a good selection of units to finish the bachelor's. Other units are run over a small block over a period of a week or two so that you can come and visit Tasmania for a glorious experience. For instance, we have fabulous field courses to teach you ecology in the field. And then, of course, there are a large number of standard face-to-face units spanning a semester. And of course, those will probably be most suited to people living in the Greater Hobart area. So you need to work around your planning with that. Those are probably the most key concepts we have about the Bachelor of Science. Now let's move on to the idea of the major in sustainability. And what we'll do now is move on to Emily, who'll talk to you, take up the ball.
Thanks, Greg. And thanks everybody for sharing all those comments about what you loved about the Diploma of Sustainable Living, and hello to all my former students. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily Fleece. I've met some of you through my role as coordinator for the Backyard Biodiversity Unit in the DSL. But today I'm here because over the last year, I've had the pleasure of leading the development of the new major in sustainability. This major was developed with a very genuine and intentional cross-disciplinary lens, and it involved folks that had been part of the Sustainability for Education community of practice, which is Tasmania's United Nations recognized Center of Expertise on Sustainability Education. The units in this major are taught or co-taught by experts from science, humanities, health, and economic fields. In developing the major, we thought about what skills and experiences are needed for students to emerge from the course with a holistic understanding of challenges and prospects in creating a more socially just and environmentally sustainable world, and what practical skills they needed to develop to be able to facilitate sustainability transition in complex real-world environments. So I'll get to what that looks like, but first, next slide, please. I want to look at what that pathway from the DSL looks like for you guys. So in developing the major, we also considered how students in the DSL who've already gained a good introduction to sustainability concepts through the core and elective units in the diploma, how they could transition into this major. So we made sure that the major and the rest of the Bachelor of Science could be completed fully online. That was to accommodate the fact, as some of you have mentioned in the chat, that so many of the DSL students are studying remotely or part-time on top of pretty significant work and caring responsibilities. So that was an important consideration for us. Also, we wanted to make sure that the DSL students would get credit for the units that they've already taken. So DSL students get credit. It's technically called advanced standing at the uni for some reason. Don't ask me why, but that's the term they should use, in official inquiries or anything. So you'll get credit for the 2 core DSL units. That's the communicating sustainability and the localized for sustainable planets units. You won't get credit for any 0 level units, which unfortunately includes the backyard biodiversity and science of gardening. Those ones are designed for diploma level and they can't count towards a bachelor's degree. But you will get credit for any 100 level units that you've completed. And these can count in the elective space that Greg mentioned earlier. Next slide. So I've designed up a couple of potential study options, and if you're interested, I can send you a couple examples of this. But this is one of them that's made for DSL students in particular. So it's to show what a Bachelor of Science might look like. And this example is if you have completed the DSL and you'd be taking the bachelor's fully online. So in this example, the yellow units are examples of ones that many students could have taken in the DSL that they would get credit for in the Bachelor of Science. So the first 2 on the left are the core units. And then in the next column, those yellow units are other DSL 100 level units that you could get credit for into the Bachelor of Science. So the blue units in this example are what you could take to complete the major. So there are technically 3 options in year 2, and I've only listed 2 of them here, and there's 5 options in year 3. So this is just one possible combination of those units. And this example also includes a second major, the major in geography and environment, which is also part of the Bachelor of Science. So it could be these 2 complement each other, and it could be taken as both fully online as part of the Bachelor of Science. So in this example, this person would graduate with a Bachelor of Science in double majors in sustainability and geography and environment. And this person would still be able to choose 4 elective units from anywhere across the university to fill those white elective spaces. And there's no constraints on electives. You could take, there's 8 in total. Here I've filled in 4 of them in yellow from the DSL, but you could take 8 100 level units or 8 300 level units. So there's no constraints on what those units are. It's anything that's of interest to you and for which you satisfy the prerequisites. So again, this is just one example of a possible pathway from the DSL to a Bachelor of Science that includes a major in sustainability. A person that didn't want to do a double major in geography and environment could choose any units in the Bachelor of Science to complete those other red squares here. Those units could be from a major in ecology or marine biology or plant science or physics and so on. So those red units do have to be from the Bachelor of Science. They're called discipline electives, while the other white electives can be from anywhere in the university. So I hope that made sense, but we can do follow up with any questions either in the chat or at the end of this presentation. The next slide, please. And the reason I highlighted the major in geography and environment as a complement to the major in sustainability is for two reasons. It's one of the few majors in the Bachelor of Science that can also be taken fully online. So that's one important component. And the other is that its focus is pretty similar to the major in sustainability in that it examines the human side of environmental challenges and provides the theory and practical skills like mapping and GIS and report writing, so that graduates are prepared to contribute to real world solutions. So that combination of theory and skills needed to create and lead change is a shared approach across the two majors. And also I highlighted that one because there's a lot of units that I would take in that major if I were to take a bachelor's again. So it looks like a lot of fun. Next slide. So for those of you who are loving the sustainability content, but are not interested in a Bachelor of Science, you'll be happy to know that you can take the major in sustainability in the extension zone of any course with 8 elective spaces, which is almost all of them. I've listed some examples here, including the Bachelor of Natural Environments and Wilderness, Marine and Antarctic Studies, Agricultural Science, Design, Bachelor of Arts, and so on. There's a really wide range of courses that this major can complement. The main constraint will be for those of you that are looking to complete a degree fully online, because right now there's not a whole lot of other options that are fully online. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so how might you go about using the knowledge and skills developed through a major in sustainability? Well, the United Nations International Labor Organization has estimated that 24 million jobs worldwide could be created by the green economy by 2030. And many of those jobs are likely to be in industries not traditionally considered associated with sustainability or the environment. So tonight, to give us a taste of what sustainability means to one industry, we have Adam Blake, the joint CEO of Blundstone. Adam, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you for that introduction, and I only wish I studied a course like that when I was at university. The who I am, I don't think I need to say. I'm a joint CEO of Blundstone. What I most wish is that I could have organised to do a far better backdrop on my video screen, actually. For those of you who don't know, Blundstone is a proudly Tasmanian business. We're 151 years old. We're still family, 100% family, privately owned business. But we're now very much a global operation. So we've got manufacturing facilities happening in 6 countries around the world. Our boots are selling in something like 75 markets around the world. We still have our headquarters in Hobart, and we have our gumboot factory in Hobart. I think that for most of our for about 135 of our 151 years, we were predominantly and solely a manufacturer. And over the last 15 or more years, we've really, we do quite a lot of our manufacturing overseas, but we still manufacture. But we're also now in the game of logistics and supply and distribution around the world, and we're also managing our business as a brand. So one of the really important assets for our business is that we're a global brand. And that leads really nicely to those next 2 questions around what sustainability means for Blundstone. Just to touch on what we think of sustainability, it's both about sustainable products, so the opposite of fast fashion. We make high quality products that last for a long time. It's sustainable practices within the business. It's also having a sustainable business and a sustainable brand. So that means that because we're a multi-generational family business, you're always building the company so that it can be handed on to the next generation. and lasts another 150 years. So that's another, and I think people are very important to us, our people. So we believe we've got a responsibility to create an environment that can sustainably employ people. And we have many people who've worked their whole life at Blundstone. So I think there's a range of ways to sum up our responsibility as a global business, and that leads into what I'm about to talk about. We have a very simple saying, which is that sustainability for us and ethical and responsible business is really just, it's about doing the right thing. It's what we should be doing for each other. It's what we should be doing as people, as a family. It's what we should be doing with our partners. It's how we should be treating the planet and making good quality products. So we basically have now come out with shaping a program called Every Step Better. And that really just tries to encapsulate all the activity that's happening across the business, across the corporate sort of environmental footprint, across our whole supply chain, our distribution chain, across how we manage the business and how we make decisions about what to do and what not to do. So I think Every Step Better started very simply as a program which helped us to, which gave us the framework to audit our supply chain partners and ensure that they were meeting chemical compliance, ensure that they were employing all of the employees who worked on any of our products ethically, etc. But it's expanded now to become a whole of business program. And we also feel very strongly that it's not just about your supply chain, it's your whole value chain. So it's end-to-end responsibility. And that's really where we're at now as a business. We're working our way through our whole value chain and working with all of our partners to comply with laws, to make sure we meet all the standards around the world, but now to lead our value chain partners on a pathway that will improve our environmental performance. Next slide. So if you just, a bit of a snapshot, we've got ESB, which is Every Step Better, ESG, environmental social governance. If I just wanted to give you a snapshot of the sort of people and roles in our business right now that are involved in that element for our business. We've got an accreditations team who look after all of the standards, chemical compliance, and they look after the program that does all the auditing with our supply chain partners around the world. You've then got quality assurance team. We've got people in every factory where we produce, and they're looking at not only the quality of the product, but the quality of management and the ethical employment that's happening. And that's also the on-site inspectors. So we have a bit of a sort of position that we refuse to be a hands-off or arm's length partner. We want to actually know what's going on inside every supplier that we've got. We use a company called British Standards Institute who help us to do the auditing, and they use a lot of global benchmarking. We've got our brand and communications team who are doing all of the communication and also understanding how to offer the pathway transparency as a pathway for consumers into our brand. We've got a whole team who select all of our suppliers that we work with. We'll only do business with suppliers who agree to sign up to our code of conduct and to stand by the principles of our Every Step Better program. Our procurement team now won't let you actually buy anything. You can't buy a piece of cardboard, you can't buy a shoebox, you can't buy anything unless that partner that we're buying it from has gone through the process of being accredited. And then obviously all of our partners who sign up, we're working with them in a very hands-on way on a continuous improvement cycle. So there is that saying that you can't be half pregnant, and it's very much like this. As soon as you step into taking note and working on your environmental and ethical performance, you've started on a path that doesn't stop, and it has to get better every step. So, and if you look at some of the future hires that are happening, we're going to be employing someone who will be We're still trying to decide the name of the role, but an environmental performance manager, someone who will help us to distill and analyse and translate research from best practices around the world, someone who can work with our product team and also work with our brand and communications teams, someone who can help us set targets that are relevant for us to get to a net zero end result. So the first thing we recognised, and this can only be good news for those of you who are studying with the sustainability major, the first thing we realised is that we desperately need people inside our business who understand environmental sustainability and understand how to help us as a business to take the right steps. Next. We've also, as I said, the Every Step Better program, it originally started in our sort of standards and accreditation unit. It's now become a front piece for our business. It starts to become a really big part of our brand. And it's also when we onboard a new staff member, or if we onboard a new partner that we're going to work with, our Every Step Better handbook and presentations and our code of conduct and our principles is part of the first presentations they're going to hear becoming part of our business. That second point, it's a bit hard to do it justice on a video conference like this, but essentially, Every Step Better, or the principles of sustainability, are now in the center of every conversation that we have. So any new product we're going to design, any new market we're going into, any new partner we're going to do business with, any new strategy for the brand, all of those things now have the conversation around environmental sustainability and performance within them. And we suspect that that's only going to continue. We're an ISO accredited organisation, so we're very much on the continuous improvement pathway. We do that in all aspects of the business, and this is just one of them. So we'll now have internal audits happening to make sure our own processes are in place, to make sure that we're not trying to dodge any responsibility that we should be taking on board. Next. So this just gives you an idea. So obviously we manufacture footwear. A lot of our footwear is leather, although we've now brought out a vegan range as well. We're looking at all sorts of new soling materials that are much more environmentally friendly, or even moving towards renewable and sustainable materials. So we're working with a group of organisations, and this list is always growing. The Leather Working Group is about ethical and environmentally sound leather production around the world, because the leather industry has been a terrible polluter for many years. So that means that we're working only with the leather suppliers who are in that group. REACH is chemical compliance. Eurofins, they're an amazing testing laboratory service based in the UK and in Europe. And when we decided to do a vegan range, we said that we would not take any product to market until we could have every single component of the boot, which includes many, many, many materials and chemicals. We wouldn't take it to market unless we believed that it had vegan verification from Eurofins, and they do DNA testing and powder testing and everything. So those sort of organisations like Eurofins, they are now a really significant player in apparel and footwear industry, because their testing is at the top of the pack. And the packaging covenant is really about making sure we've made a commitment and we've got rid of all plastic in our packaging. We've got fully recycled and recyclable packaging on everything. We've lost all of those shiny little plastic coated swing tags that hang off boots in stores. We've got rid of all of that. So we're certainly on a mission to lose all single-use plastic from our business. Next. So some of the future goals. Many people might say that we've been slow to the table here, but I think we've been working really hard for a long time in auditing and improving, and we've started to open up on this, but we're very much now, from the board, from the governance level, from the owners of the business, right through the management, decided that we need to set ourselves that target. And so we need to embrace it. We need to employ people in the business who can help us know how to do it, and we need to just get on with doing it. So that's now become a key strategy in our latest strategic plan. Obviously, the use of recycled and sustainable materials. So what you can see is your product innovation program now starts to focus on new materials around the world. So that's, you can see how once you commit to sustainability, it starts to drive a whole lot of different parts of your business in a particular direction. Obviously, the waste minimisation, circular practices, as we do already, we try to send as much waste or unused byproduct from our gumboot manufacturing to another company that turns that into outdoor furniture and hoses and all sorts of things like that. We try to minimise and hopefully get to a point where nothing goes to a landfill site from our factory. So that's something we're working on. And as I said, with eliminating all single-use plastics from all of our packaging, all of our footwear, everything. Next. There's a little video here, which I'll let someone play to go out on, if it's going to play for us.
No, sorry, Adam, it's not going to play for you, but I will send it out to everybody at the end of this presentation as well, so everyone will receive it as an extra link.
Well, you can see our Blundstone building there with a big footprint on it, but you can more importantly see the beautiful Kunyani behind it. So, thank you.
Imogen, is that you? Are you doing this slide?
I was about to say, Tristan, I believe that you're taking us through how it is to be a student, the experience and the steps that students can go through to succeed.
But before that, just real quick, Adam, thank you so much for that presentation. It was like, it's so inspiring to see what your company has done. And I'm so proud of my Blundstone boots now.
That's great. Thank you.
Adam, where can we get vegan Blundstones?
They're selling in the Northern Hemisphere right now, and they'll be selling in Australia in March next year.
Oh, I'm excited. Thanks.
Yeah, they're going gangbusters.
Right. Well, thanks very much, Adam, and thanks, Emily. Look, a lot of the people who are attending this seminar have already done quite a bit of study for the diploma. So if I'm telling you things you already know, that's fine. And if you've got any advice for me, please let me know, because the reason I'm talking to you now is because I love to study. I have 3 undergraduate degrees and I just finished a PhD. And so I guess what I'm going to be speaking to you about for the next couple of minutes is just some home truths about studying and a little bit of advice about what it is to do a Bachelor of Science. Because for some of you, this might be changing gears for your study, and for others, you might be stepping into new kind of study. The first thing I guess I would suggest to you is to get to know the system, get to know UTAS's systems. We've got eStudent, for example, and that's how you plan your course out. That's how you do your enrollments. That's the sort of big picture side of engaging with your course. Make sure that you use the webmail. Email is the main way that we communicate with you. So make sure that you're getting the emails that are sent to your UTAS email address. Make sure that you know how to use Milo. So Milo is how the units are delivered. For those of you that have used Milo already for the diploma, you're probably well across it. If you haven't used Milo before, get on there early and work out where all the bits are. There's even a course on Milo on how to use Milo. Make sure that you avail yourself of the university's services. student services, you can access that through a service called UConnect. And that's for if you have any, oh wait, is my video not on? Should be on. Sure. So UConnect is the way that you connect through to the university's services. So if you have any inquiries about administration or your course, about enrollment, about fees and finances, get in touch. There are people who can chat to you live. You can call them on the phone. You can send them an email. You can make an appointment if you want to get longer advice. And find out what the service desk does for you as a student. If you have a specific question for your department or for the IT department, do it through the service desk. So they're all the different systems that we use to interact with our students and to help you to study. But in terms of how you go about your study, you've probably noticed that sometimes you've had really good study habits and sometimes you haven't. I know that for my very first degree, I was studying zoology. For the first couple of years, I just kind of cruised on credits and I did okay. But when I was doing my final year and when I was studying engineering, I managed to get straight HDs for all of my units. And the difference for me was good study habits. And the first one was to be organized, to get started really early. So my advice to you, if you're studying next year, is before semester starts, put all your lectures, your assignments, your personal study periods, your tutorials, everything into your calendar right from the very beginning. Get all your books and your notepads, software, your internet connection, and everything sorted out. Don't try and turn your computer on for your first lecture as the first thing that you do for your degree. For each unit, get into Milo and please read the unit outline. That's where the unit coordinator puts all the information that you have to know for the unit. So that's my first piece of advice, is get organized. My second one is get some perspective. Like, find out where the unit sits as part of the course. Find out where it sits in your life. If you're studying, for example, one of the units on sustainability, sustainable design, for example, think about the design of your own house and how that unit might fit into the real world stuff that you're engaging with every day, because that'll kind of ground each unit for you, and it won't just be a bunch of abstract stuff that you have to cram into your head. The next thing is, I would say, start to think about what are good study habits for you. Find out what they are. You already have some, but find out what the others are. And here's a clue. Engaging actively with the material can make a big difference. So imagine that you want to learn how to play football. If you're just watching footy matches on the television and then playing on a Sunday, you'll end up just being a pretty mediocre player. But if you're doing particular active learning exercises for that activity, you'll be able to smash it. There are lots of tools the university has that you can access through the student portal that'll give you tips about things like how to analyze a question, how to take notes from a lecture, how to prepare for an exam, all that sort of stuff. So please avail yourself of those tools on the uni website. One of the main things is do the work. The unit coordinators put in huge amounts of effort to work out activities for you that will help you to learn the material and help you to pass the assignments. So if you do all the activities, there's a really good chance that you'll do really well in that unit. And a couple of other considerations. Think about the place that you study in. Is it quiet? Is it comfortable but not too comfortable? Is it a place where you won't be distracted? Think about the time that you study. Don't do all your study at 11 o'clock at night. Don't do it in between sessions of work, or when you're down at the beach. Set a specific study time aside as the thing that you're doing. And think about getting help from the formal services that are set up by the university. For example, we've got a learning lounge, which is an online drop-in space. That's open Monday to Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. There are online mentors. There's a 24/7 online service to help you with questions, more general questions you have, or to give you feedback on your writing. So please explore the university website for all the services that you can take advantage of. Even more generally than that, obviously, if you're studying really hard, it's hard work and it's hard on your brain. So you need to get sleep, and you need to get rest, and you need to be healthy, and you need to look after your own well-being. The university can help you with that generally. We've got lots of clubs and accommodation if you're here in Hobart, lots of sports that you can do on site, that sort of thing. But we've also got support services that you can access, things like student advisors. They can help you with your time management, academic adjustment, understanding the university processes. We also have mental health services on site. If you have a disability, then we can organise a learning access plan for you. The main thing is that you have to let us know what you need, and then we can work around your needs. And the last thing I guess I would say is ask for help. If you're studying, one thing that can make it really hard for you is to think that you're just going it alone. And you can sit there in your room and you do all your study alone, and you just have the interactions and the tutorials, and that's it. Please ask for help. Ask your colleagues for help so that you study together, work on assignments together. Ask your tutors and your lecturers for help if you don't understand anything. Ask the student advisors for help. And you can do a lot of this, the student advice stuff, and accessing the university services through the university portal. So if you could just flick onto the next slide there. The university portal is basically your access to all of those systems that I just told you about. And also there are university-wide announcements and things that go on there. So please have a look at the portal once you've enrolled in units and see what we've got to offer. Emily, is there anything else that you think I should cover there? That was a lot of stuff.
You've done a wonderful job, Tristan. And Greg made some good comments for mature age students or just returning back to study in the chat, how that can often, life experiences often set them up really well for doing a good job in a degree. I had no idea you had 3 undergraduate degrees just in your machine.
Can't help myself.
Okay, sorry. I think we're on to Imogen. It's taking over next, yeah?
Yes, hi everyone. Hopefully you can see me. So I just wanted to go through with you all some of the next steps and what you need to think about. Now you sort of heard the degree structure. We're of course here in the Future Students team to support you always. So I've got a slide coming up that has our email address on it. So I know you've had a lot of questions tonight and I've tried to capture all of them so I can get back to anyone who perhaps we might not be able to get to tonight. But your next steps after tonight, if you've had all your questions answered and you're thinking that you might want to apply just to get your hat in the ring, is to jump onto our website, which is just the utas.edu.au website, and you'll see the nice big red apply button. And then you should already have a profile with us from when you applied to do the Diploma of Sustainable Living. So what you'll need to do is just log in using the login details you would have a year ago when you started your course with us. And then you'll be able to select apply for 2022, and you'll be of course applying for the Bachelor of Science. You don't need to decide already what majors or minors or electives you want to study with us. We're there to help you with that later on. The first stage is just applying simply for the bachelor degree. It may ask you if you've had some prior study, and of course you've done this wonderful course, so we really encourage you to pop that in there as well. Once you've submitted your application, and again, if you have trouble, we're here to help you over the phone and we can book one-on-one appointments. It'll probably be roughly between 2 to 3 weeks before you get an offer in which you'll have to accept. And then there's some really wonderful enrolment sessions coming up over the next sort of month and a half to help you, of course, to enroll into those units that you choose. We're also there for you in order to do your study plan. So we'll map out your degree with you. I know there's been a lot of chat on the line about how do you select your units and will there be someone to support you with that. So we're definitely there to support you. We have a lot of services available in future students. We can meet with you one-on-one. We can meet with you face-to-face, unfortunately not for our interstate students, but we would love to Zoom with you. That's as face-to-face as we can get. But we can help you from the whole process through to applying if you get stuck on a page, all the way through to selecting your units and enrolling in those units. I think it's important now we're talking about enrolling in units to obviously have a chat about the fees that come along with studying at university. I know there's been a lot of questions about that. The Bachelor of Science isn't fee waived like you've experienced with some of your units in the Diploma of Sustainability. But there is, of course, the opportunity to apply for HECS. And your HECS loan is essentially, if you haven't had one before, a loan that the government gives you that's interest-free, that you start paying back when you hit a particular threshold of earning in your life. We can definitely talk about this one-on-one in more detail. I can't unfortunately see the chat right now if you're asking questions, but I will absolutely jump in when we move on and answer any of your questions about that. Your HECS is there essentially to let you study worry-free. So I myself am a student as well, like Tris, and I'm using the HECS help loan at the moment as well. It's very simple to apply for. You just apply using your tax file number and we can help you to do that as well. So please, if you're unsure and it is your first time studying a bachelor degree, ask us some questions in the chat. We'd definitely love to answer them here so everyone can hear what the steps are and any concerns that people have. So I'm just going to jump forward now. We're here, obviously, as I said, to help you enroll in your units and to help you choose those electives that Emily was talking about before. So obviously, if you've done some level 100 units, you'll get some credit for those units. If you're not sure how to find a level 100 unit or whether you've done any of them, if you jump into your eStudent and look at your current enrolment for the Diploma of Sustainability, you'll notice that all of your units have a unit code. It's usually 3 letters at the start and 3 numbers at the end. The first of those 3 numbers is usually going to be a 0 or it will be a 1. When you get into studying a bachelor degree level, they'll be a 2 or a 3 as well. The numbers represent the year level of that unit. So if it's a number 1, it's a first year level unit studying at the bachelor level. If it's a number 2, it's obviously a second year unit. So have a think about jumping into your eStudent and looking at your transcript, for example, and that will be able to give you an indication as to whether you'll get any credit for that. I know there's also been some questions about previous study. Obviously, if you've studied within the past 10 years at a bachelor level, you can also get credit for any of some previous study that you've done as well. So we encourage you obviously to submit a prior learning application. You do this after you've enrolled in your degree and that will be assessed and you may get some units of credit for that as well, which will shorten the bachelor degree. We've got some really great pop-up sessions coming up around the campus and also online. So when you accept your offer with us, you'll get an email from us. So just look out for that. It'll have any of our sessions coming up that you can come and join. And I really encourage you, you'll probably be seeing me at a lot of them. I really encourage you to come see me and we can spend some time going over any concerns that you have. Great, so I will pass you back now to Emily, who will take you on.
Thanks so much, Imogen. Yeah, so that's it for our presentation. Hopefully we've been able to answer some of your questions, both through the info we provided and also through the live chat and the Q&A discussion going on. Big thank you to Nicole and Imogen for answering all those questions in the Q&A. If you are looking for more information, you can contact the following people. So if it's related to the Bachelor of Science specifically, then Dr. Ashley Edwards is coordinating that and she's best placed to answer those questions. If it's specifically about the major in sustainability, please reach out to me and my email address is there. If it's about the Diploma of Sustainable Living, reach out to Greg, and application and enrollment stuff, you can contact Imogen at the course info email address there. So we do have a little bit of time for some more questions now, but first I want to thank everyone so much for joining tonight, all of our attendees and our panelists who are providing such great information, and especially Adam Blake for providing that industry perspective. It's really nice to hear hear firsthand what businesses are looking for and how sustainability graduates might be able to apply those skills. And also just great to hear what Blundstone's doing locally to improve their sustainability. It's yeah, wonderful stuff. So thank you everyone for being involved. And if you do have questions, actually, Janine, are they able to ask them by unmuting themselves, or just put them into the chat and we'll keep?
Emily, I've been tracking some of the ones in the chat. So I can actually ask them, if you like, the ones that I think that we might have missed along the way, and hopefully that will answer some questions for everybody else. So we have students that are looking at studying another degree. For instance, perhaps it's a Bachelor of Arts. Can they double their majors with sustainability? Can they add to their other degrees this particular major?
Yeah, so that's one of the things we wanted to make sure you could do with the major in sustainability, because it is so important across, you know, all disciplines and aspects of life these days. It can be taken alongside as part of pretty much any course at the university, as long as it has 8 elective spaces. So the trade-off there, if you're not taking it within the Bachelor of Science, if you're taking it in a Bachelor of Arts, for example, well, actually the Bachelor of Arts, I think. Yeah, anyway, but if it has 8 elective spaces, you can take it in those. You have to sort of forfeit those electives, and all of that, those units have to be taken from the major in sustainability. And so then it would be a second major, whatever. You can do another major in your Bachelor of Arts, or Bachelor of Business, or a Bachelor of Agriculture, and this would be a second major.
We've got Jane with her hand up. So Jane, I'm just going to unmute you, and hopefully you'll be able to ask your question.
Can you hear me?
We
Hello,
can.
Jane.
Oh, lovely. So I'm just studying the Diploma of Sustainable Living, which is awesome, and considering moving across to the degree. I'm just trying to understand in terms of the units and how it all interconnects. So if I was to move across from the diploma, how many units does that deliver to the degree? How much extra time would the degree take? And also the investment in the degree?
Okay, those are good questions. Whoever's in charge of the slides right now, would you mind going back up to that one that I had that showed the possible, you know, compilation of units that could complete a bachelor's? Also, welcome, Jane. I'm assuming you're a Kiwi with that accent.
No, I'm English, but I'm married. I'm married to a Kiwi.
Terrible. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you picked up a little bit.
In the lockdown, we're probably all a big soup of different accents.
I'm just horrible at picking accents. That's entirely possible. Okay, so yeah, there is no single answer to how many units you'll get credit for into the bachelor's. It depends on what units you took in the DSL. Anything that you've taken that is a 100 level. So after those 3 letters, like KPZ, the first number after that, if it's a 0, those can't count. They count towards their diploma level unit. But if it has a 1, then it can be counted towards an introductory level bachelor's unit. So any units that you've taken with of a 100 level can count towards this bachelor's. 2 of them count as a part of the major. And so those 2 core units for the DSL mean you've completed the first year of the major in sustainability, and you can go directly into the second year of that major.
Yeah.
Any other units you've taken that are 100 level count towards your elective space.
So I think I understand that. So looking at this, it would be KGA 107 and communicating sustainability as sustainability literacy or engaging sustainability, yeah?
Yeah, as long as they have a 1 after the 3 letters, if they have a 1 at the start, then they'll count. So
essentially the DIP can move you into year 2 of the degree potentially.
Yep. And so in this example here, a person coming from the DSL would get credit for 6 units,
Yeah.
which is a quarter of a bachelor's degree. Out of the 24 units, you'd get credit for a quarter of them. Somebody else in the chat was saying that 7 of the 8 units that they've taken in the DSL were 100 level, so they would get credit for all 7 of those, which is almost a third of your, almost 1 year off of your bachelor's then.
Yeah, yeah. So to get a clear understanding of what you've done, what you need to do, and the likely investment to get to a degree level, what's the best way to get an understanding of that?
I guess actually maybe Imogen would be a better place to say that than me. I don't actually know the process of when they're applying, saying what they've done and finding out officially what counts. And yeah, maybe you could answer.
Yeah, so the way that it works, Jane, is, and thank you for the question, hopefully you can see me okay. And the way that it works is that when you're applying, you're just letting the people in the university that are assessing you know what you've done in order to get an offer. But when it comes to applying for credit, it's a slightly different process. And what we usually do is we help you to pull together your transcripts of previous study. Perhaps you studied at another university or even a college on the mainland. And then we submit that for prior learning. And the way that it works in the system is that once your prior learning has been assessed and you've been granted credit, those units will be taken out of your study plan online. So that's the way that it works from that perspective. If you're applying for credit with your diploma units, you would just submit your transcript once you graduate, and we can help you do that too. But you don't need to worry about applying for credit until you've actually enrolled in your first year, and then you'll get credit before you start the course. So you don't need to worry. Obviously, you won't be repeating anything, but we always encourage people to apply, and then they'd be exempt from the units is the word that we call it, and that's what comes up on your study plan as well. Does that help to help you to understand how it works? Oh, she might have jumped off. We do have another person, Cami, with your hand up. So Cami, if you can, got yourself unmuted, feel free to ask.
Hi, Imogen. My question is actually directed towards you.
Oh, great. Okay.
I'm currently a certificate level student, and I've been offered a spot in the diploma next year conditional on me passing everything, all the 4 subjects in the certificate level. Mm-hmm. When it was advertised that sustainability was going to be an option in the degree, I actually asked UConnect about applying, and I explained that I was only going to be doing my diploma next year. They said I could actually apply now for 2023 and defer it. But when I've actually gone online to do that, it looks like I would then be passing up my diploma spot for next year. I was just wondering if that is actually possible or not.
I've never heard of that. Actually, I've never been asked that question before. Ajaya, are you able to answer that? I've never had a student apply for a 2023 spot, and I didn't believe that it was available, especially because we're actually about to change enrollment application systems.
They said I also got an email back about it because I had about a million other questions, and it was very in-depth.
Yeah.
So they said I could still retain my diploma one, and the degree one I would just defer it.
Yeah.
So pretty much probably still like applying for next year, but then deferring it to actually start in 2023.
Yeah. So you could apply in the 2022 year, and it might be good if we catch up, Cami, one-on-one. The way that it works is you always apply for the following year. You definitely can defer things, and that doesn't affect you starting anything else. So you could always accept 2 offers in 2022 and defer one and continue on, but it does get quite complex. So if you don't mind, what I might do is send you an email with my direct contact details, and we'll take this offline and definitely solve it for you by tomorrow. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. No worries. We don't.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead, Imogen.
I was going to say we don't have any more hands up. We still have quite a few people online. I wonder if it's worth touching base, Emily, on the cost of the yearly cost of doing a Bachelor of Science, which I can see has been asked a few times in the chat. I just thought it's worth directing people to our course fee bandings, which are on our website. So what I'll do in a second is actually pop that website link into the chat for everybody. What you'll be able to see is the very indicative fees per year of what a Bachelor of Science will cost, and what you can obviously pop onto your HEX. I know it's a big consideration for people. Keep in mind that the cost that's on there won't include any credit that you get, because of course you won't pay for any units that you get accredited as well.
And just I was responding to Sarah Potts there about any other pathways or courses that are available fully